Here's what's coming up on your horizon. Well, many believe development of unmanned aerial vehicles marks a leap forward in robotics. For decades, researchers have tried to develop robots that could mimic human motion with very limited success. But it turns out when robots take to the air, they're more graceful than man will ever be. So, much like the dinosaurs that have evolved through time into today's birds, robots have become today's UAVs. This week, we're literally up in the air. We'll begin by looking at that growing industry here in Oklahoma. Little planes making a big impact in the world of aerospace. And we'll see what's blowing in the wind for Oklahoma's wind industry. Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education.
Oklahoma's investment in career tech provides more than nationally recognized technology education and training. It produces solid financial returns for the state's economic future. Oklahoma Career Tech, elevating our economy.
And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. And now, from the Career Tech Studios in Stillwater, here's your host, Rob McClendon.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here on Horizon. Well, today more than a third of all the aircraft in the U.S. Air Force's fleet is unmanned. Drones can do everything from gather intelligence 24/7 to carrying out attacks undeterred by the risk of U.S. casualties. Yet this technology's peacetime uses could well rival what they've already done in war. Joining me now is our Lisa Hines.
Rob, unmanned aerial vehicles, which is the most common name for drones when used for civilian purposes, are truly a transformative technology. Uses for these small aircraft can range from law enforcement studying a crime scene to ranchers keeping up with livestock. Builders can use these small aircraft to survey a construction site, while those of us in television already use them for unique shots. They're a powerful technology that are literally rewriting the rules wherever they fly.
It's a bird. Nope. It's a plane. Not exactly. It's a toy. Not even close. It's a Raptor, otherwise known as a Remote Aerial Platform Technical Reconnaissance. Whew, that's a mouthful. Built by Tactical Electronics in Tulsa, the Raptor provides video surveillance from a safe distance. Ben Kimbrough is the Executive Vice President.
We have a system called Raptor, which is categorized as small rotorcraft UAS. It's got some pretty interesting performance capabilities in terms of its payload and the ability to refit payloads. So we sort of treat the Raptor like a mule.
Curtis Spray is the pilot and says Raptor basically flies itself.
It flies for about 40 minutes on one single charge. It's fully autonomous from launch to landing, so you program a flight plan via a Windows-based laptop ground control station. You can hit the launch button, the helicopter will launch itself, execute the flight plan as prescribed, return home when it's done, land itself, and turn itself off.
Pretty sweet. But that's not the only amazing thing about the Raptor.
As far as importance goes, this technology can be used for public safety, law enforcement, aside from the military applications, which is what most people associate unmanned vehicles with. You've got public safety, search and rescue, fire fighting capabilities, and then we can get off into the commercial applications, the oil and gas industry, agriculture. There's so many things that this technology can do to help us out on our daily chores that we need to do, but also to keep people out of harm's way. Anytime we can take people out of the air and keep them on the ground, we can do things a little bit safer, especially when it comes to public safety and hazardous type situation.
But some believe that unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, could infringe on privacy. But Kimbrough says such restrictions could be detrimental to safety issues.
I think it's essential for the public to understand that UAS have a lot of very positive, impactful societal benefits. Much ado has been made of the sinister, some of the provocative things that UAS can be used for, but there's a much wider span of beneficial public safety, agriculture, sciences, so many other things that can be done with them.
which is the focus of an interim study at the Capitol to discuss UAVs and the public's privacy. Paul Wesselhoff is a state representative and says they're trying to be proactive with legislation.
The purpose of this study is to improve this piece of legislation. What we're trying to do is just put out the groundwork to begin with, especially when it comes to privacy issues. We want the government to know that we are not going to tolerate any kind of law enforcement going around our Constitution to surveil us. We have that right, we have that expectation of privacy. And we don't want them going on fishing expeditions just saying, oh, I wonder who we can catch today. That's not how we operate. Now, if they have probable cause that an individual or an organization is committing some criminal activity or about to, then they get a warrant and they can do all the targeting that they desire. And I commend that.
Amy Stepanovich is with the Electronic Privacy Information Center and says that while they don't want to stop the use of UAVs, they do want to make sure that standards are put into place to prevent misuse.
By and large, drones aren't going to impact individual rights, and that's really what we're looking at, is how people are going to be affected by this new technology. So many of the issues that have been proposed and that we can think of, and drones are going to have so many uses that we can't think of, but they're not going to have any impact on people at all, except to make lives easier. However, in instances when they will collect information, when they will be monitoring individuals, when they'll infringe on constitutional rights, those are the main concerns, and those are the areas we want to see get addressed early on and not after people have already been victims to this technology.
Ryan Kiesel is the executive director of the ACLU of Oklahoma and says being proactive is a great first step. And they want to make sure that citizens know their privacy rights are taken care of when they see a UAV.
I think first they need to consider that they will be seeing these. This is not an abstraction. In the next several years, I think that it will be commonplace for Oklahomans to see drones above their heads. Now, right now, I would say that they would need to be concerned just by default. And until we have some regulations and requirements that set ground rules for how the government can use these, then we should be very concerned about the privacy implications. We can avail those concerns by setting clear, simple guidelines now.
Yet Kimbrough urges caution in being too quick to legislate.
We don't seek to do anything evil or illegal, certainly, with these aircraft. We want to use them in a beneficial way. And I think it's imperative that the public realize the benefit that can come out of this and not just view this in the context of privacy. No one on earth cares more about personal privacy and that of my family than I do, but I also have the right vision to see how many other benefits we can gain out of this if we don't make hasty legislation that potentially becomes duplicative and not legislate into the unknown.
Keeping privacy on the forefront while allowing new technology to take off.
U.S. Customs has been using UAVs since 2005 to monitor our borders, while NASA now uses the unmanned aircraft to study hurricanes.
So could this same technology be used here in the middle of America to do some of the storm chasing that has proven all too deadly back this past spring in Oklahoma?
Well, at a trade show in Las Vegas, over 500 companies were pitching their aircraft. Many of those were for studying tornadoes. And as storm chasers will tell you, the most interesting part of the atmosphere during a storm is at 3,000 feet.
All right, it is a brave new world. Thank you so much, Elisa.
You're welcome, Rob.
Well, while unmanned UAVs are being flown by flesh and blood, when we return, we meet some young people whose future could be in the skies while they're safely on the ground.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon, featuring some of the good things that are happening in the great state of Oklahoma.
Well, in many ways, unmanned aerial vehicles are perfect for a generation of young people raised on video games. That is one of the reasons why Oklahoma State University began holding an event called Speed Fest. And our Andy Barth joins us from the site of that annual event.
Rob, the OSU Speed Fest is a high-speed aircraft competition designed to get students excited about aviation and UAV design. And we followed several teams to see who would come out on top.
From takeoff to landing, students involved in the OSU Speed Fest learn the mechanics behind taking flight.
Here, put this on that gas, DJ.
We're
work with larger scale aircraft, it's important that they understand how it works.
Amy Harden is the aviation maintenance instructor at Gordon Cooper Technology Center and says this competition is an important learning tool.
This gives them a real good understanding of what they're doing and why it's important, and it's fun, and they get to experience that, and it gives them, I think, a motivation to go on even further and do even bigger things.
Things like building the aircraft.
Some of the challenges that we faced were from mostly covering, just because that's one of the most complicated parts.
Stan Kanata is a student at Gordon Cooper Technology Center and says aviation is in his blood.
I've always been interested in airplanes since I was a kid. My dad was a pilot, and so I've always been interested in planes, and RC planes have kind of been a little something I've been getting into since we got to Gordon Cooper, and something that I think that I can carry on later and turn into a hobby.
But for now, he's focused on the course ahead.
There are 2 poles on either side, about 600 feet apart, and so you take off from the tarmac over here and you fly around the pylons. We'll have flagmen at each pylon, and when the plane passes the pylon, the flagman will raise the flag, and the pilot will turn it up and cut hard elevator and turn it around. And then basically you fly in a circle around the pylons and you do so many laps.
And the plane with the fastest time wins. Robert Bedford is a student at Great Plains Technology Center.
It was phenomenal to see that pile of sticks in that little box with the roll of paper just turn into this huge thing, and now it's flying every bit as good as I could have dreamed. It was really amazing.
And to see the plane airborne, Bedford says, is the ultimate success.
It was really great to see that finally fly out there and be like, I built that. I helped to build that, and it's all that accomplishment that comes from finishing that entire project over like the past 4 months that we've been working on it. It's been really great.
And Harden says students who graduate from her program go on to major aviation careers.
We have several that are gearing up to get ready to head into pre-engineering. I have several that work at Tinker Air Force Base and other aviation employers throughout the state as mechanics. I have former students that are now managers, which is really cool to see. They move into corporate. I mean, there's so many different aspects of aviation. So.
Working toward a career in flight where the sky is the limit. Now, the competition is held in conjunction with the Collegiate Speed Fest contest and is sponsored by NASA and other aviation organizations.
So, Andy, who won?
Well, Rob, it was a great day for Oklahoma career tech. Gordon Cooper took the first place trophy, and Great Plains Technology Center tied for second.
All right. Thank you so much, Andy.
You're welcome, Rob.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon. More energy out of thin air. But first, eyes in the sky.
Well, as more and more UAVs are being developed for the domestic market, Oklahoma is vying to be a test site to begin developing regulations for flying these remotely piloted vehicles in American airspace. James Grimsley is the president of the Oklahoma Unmanned Systems Alliance.
Now the only thing that's allowed are military applications in military airspace. They're going to set up 6 test sites across the United States that will allow them to start to fly under very controlled, very restricted situations and areas that they can start to gather safety data, look at the impact on other aircraft on the airspace system, as well as even cultural, social impacts and those types of things.
Now, Oklahoma officials should find out in December whether the state is to become a designated test site. Well, one area Oklahoma does lead the nation in UAV development is in education. Oklahoma State has the nation's first and only UAV engineering degree option at the graduate level. It's a program with an emphasis in research and hands-on design, as well as construction and flight testing. And our Keela Kellen went to go take a look.
There's a lot of excitement in the public safety world, all due to the found benefits of unmanned vehicles. These aircrafts are valuable in numerous ways, from search and rescue missions to even precision agriculture, and of course the more notable military applications that we have all seen in the news.
Tinkering and adjusting to make things perfect.
Oklahoma's unmanned aircraft research is miles ahead of other programs. Jamie Jacobs is one of the lead instructors working on UAV research in the state.
Our real concern is investigating things that can help Oklahoma grow, both in terms of its economy, help public safety, and really put those also in the hands of consumers that they can discover new ways that they can use unmanned aircraft.
These unmanned aircraft are increasingly growing in importance, but most still don't understand what they can be used for.
The analogy I always like to give is unmanned aircraft right now is like the early smartphone industry back in the late 1990s. Nobody knew that they needed a smartphone or even what a smartphone could be used for until they were introduced. Now everyone knows, oh, I have to have my smartphone with me. I can't live without it, to be able to check all these things and figure out all the great stuff that you can do with a smartphone. UAVs are a lot like that right now. Very early in the technology, we know some of the things that they are going to be useful for, but there are a lot of things also that we haven't even figured out that they can be useful for as well.
And working to better understand those uses, Thomas Hayes has worked on a team to build a prototype for the U.S. government.
This is Talos. It's an airplane made for the Department of Homeland Security to do border patrol. It's one of the concepts that they asked universities to develop. We were one of 4 universities whose proposals were selected for a grant to actually build a prototype. Most other schools built a half-scale or smaller prototype, but here at Oklahoma State we decided to go ahead and do full scale since we had the facilities to do just that. So this is a 1-to-1 scale of the aircraft we designed and is ready to hold the propulsion systems that the DHS asked us to design for. And let's get it off the road.
And while some of these UAVs are helping the military do their job, uses in agriculture are also being found.
Working on mentoring a project for small unmanned aerial vehicles that relates to precision agriculture, where we're trying to work with the bioag engineering folks and going to be flying over some of the experimental fields that they have and collecting some data that will help them understand better how some of their systems are working, how some of their crops are working.
Just some of the many ways drones are becoming more and more a part of our everyday lives.
If we become the leader in UAV technology, if we're seen at that, and really we already think we are, we just need to make sure everyone else knows about it as well. It's a great thing for the state. It helps attract not only federal dollars to the state, but also lots of research dollars from industry.
Unmanned aerial vehicles like these are governed by the same FAA flight rules as manned aircraft, which has limited some of their applications, but revisions to these rules could come as early as 2015, allowing UAVs to fly in commercial airspace.
Want to share something you've seen here today? Well, all of our episodes are streaming on our YouTube channel at Oklahoma Horizon TV, or you can subscribe to our weekly free podcasts on iTunes.
Well, Oklahoma and 8 other states set records for wind power generation this past month. About 1/4 of the power used by members of the Southwest Power Pool on October 10th was from the wind. Now, I sat down with Michael Skelly, the president of Clean Line Energy, to find out what is behind such growth.
Well, it's interesting. About 10 years ago, Oklahoma got around 0% of its electric power from wind energy. Today, it's getting close to 15%. So in energy terms, pretty short period of time, Oklahoma has added a tremendous amount of new wind energy to the grid. And that's pretty exciting. And it's really a combination of a couple of things coming together. Permit-friendly environment, available transmission, ranchers and farmers who have experience working with different types of energy resources, and working with other parties to help tap those resources, and nice leadership from state officials. Governor Fallon is just phenomenal on this stuff. She understands the importance of a mix of energy. And then really interesting improvements in wind technology. And just if I could just give you an example of that. The machines that we put in 10 years ago, and I was involved in some of the first wind farms down near Lawton, those machines, if you put in sort of the same capital investment at that site with today's turbine technology, you'd get around 35–40% more energy out of that same site. Now, what does that mean? That means for the same capital investment, you're getting a lot more energy, and that really helps bring the cost down. And that's a great thing for economic development in Oklahoma, and it's a good thing for ratepayers in the state as well.
Is the infrastructure that supports wind energy and getting the energy from where it's windy to where they need it, is that still the challenge that we face?
Yeah. So with respect to infrastructure, that's a great question. So the next wave of wind development in Oklahoma has been really driven by a couple of things. One is the export of wind from Oklahoma to other states, particularly to the southeast, because they just don't have as much wind as y'all have. And the other factor is that there has been some grid expansion in Oklahoma, in western Oklahoma. The different states in this area called the Southwest Power Pool, which are Kansas, Missouri, and other nearby states, they got together and said, okay, let's go ahead and upgrade the grid so we can get to these higher renewable percentages. And as that's happened, that's helping to enable new projects. So the most recent trend that we've seen over the last year or so in Oklahoma is the export of Oklahoma wind to markets in the southeast.
Can you store wind energy? You can store oil, you can store coal, but how do you store wind energy?
There's a lot of interesting stuff going on the energy storage front. A lot of people are trying to figure that out. The thing is, though, at today's wind penetration levels, 15%, you don't really have a storage issue, okay? Because you don't have times when you're saying, oh, we got so much wind right now that we don't know what to do with it. What happens is other units ratchet up and down depending on how the wind blows. So the grid itself and this whole mix of generation units across the Southwest Power Pool, they're fully capable of integrating the current penetration levels and even higher penetration levels. So the storage challenge is an important long-term challenge. A lot of people working on it. It's going to take a while, though, to figure it out.
Final question. What do you say to those that believe that wind cannot stand on its own without government support?
Yeah. Let's just talk about what does government support of wind consist of today, okay? You can produce wind energy in Oklahoma with the federal tax credit for about 2.5 cents. Without the tax credit, it would be about 4.5 cents. If you look at other ways to generate electricity, gas turbines, solar panels, et cetera, then we're pretty close to being right there in the hunt. With gas, you can burn gas, generate a little bit less than 4.5 cents, but wind is really close to being competitive on its own, which I think is a really interesting point when it really kind of opens the possibility of blowing the doors open on this industry. And it's particularly exciting for Oklahoma because wind is most competitive where it's really windy, and as you know, it's really windy in Oklahoma.
All right, I appreciate your insights. Thank you so much. Well, Job Potential has led several state technical schools to start programs to train and certify workers in repairing and servicing wind turbines. Now, if you'd like to see what it takes to work on wind turbines, just head to okhorizon.com and click on Wind Jobs under our value-added section.
You can keep up with us throughout the week. Just head to okhorizon.com, where you can see more of any of our stories, read our reporters behind-the-scenes blogs, see what others are saying about us on Twitter, and face the facts with our regular updates. So reach out and touch us anywhere and anytime.
Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, the addiction connection to Oklahoma's high incarceration rates.
These lives are complex just like everyone else's. The addictions are complex, where they came from, where they're leading.
Breaking the cycle of addiction and incarceration on Oklahoma Show for the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Well, unmanned aerial vehicles have an interesting connection to our nation's presidential history. In 1944, the Navy worked to adapt the B-24 bomber into a remotely piloted vehicle. It was a top-secret project in response to the heavy casualties American pilots were suffering flying over the skies of Europe. Crammed with bombs, the plane would take off, then the pilot would parachute to safety, with the bomber then being flown remotely onto Germany. But the program was an utter failure. In fact, it took the life of a young man already being groomed for the presidency. Joseph Kennedy, older brother to JFK, had just taken off with one of these planes when it blew up prematurely, taking a young life and, some believe, thrusting his younger brother, John Kennedy, into a role that was never intended by their powerful family to be his. I'm Rob McClendon. Thanks for watching. See you back here next time.
Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry. Thank you for watching Oklahoma Horizon.